Welcome to a new week and a new wave of the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 FM. I am Randy Rosetta. I am joined tonight for the Mustang Fan Zone to kick things off as usual by, to my far left, if you're watching on TV, Andrew Roy, who's back after letting Candy Stevens come in and talk about her girls for a week.
Yeah.
And, okay, does Mom call you Abe or Abraham?
I get called Junior at home.
Junior, well, what do you want? How do you want to be referred to?
Abe.
Abe.
Yes, sir.
Now I've gone blank on your last name all of a sudden.
Ragland.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I had all that prepared to make sure I said your first name right, and then I just completely went. Coach is starting to get up there in age too. He'll understand that you just start talking, and all of a sudden words just float off into the distance. How many times do your daughters get called the opposite names?
My wife is, when she gets into it, it's Avery, Anissa, Alyssa, Avery. She calls them everything except for their name.
Well, that's me in our house. And not only that, my younger daughter is getting used to being called by the dog's name, which does not go over well.
That's not good.
So, and she's a junior in high school, so you can understand.
Yes, sir.
That's an emotional time when that happens. You guys are coming off of it was 29-16 loss up in Tascosa to start district play, but the guy who covered the game up there and looking at the box score afterwards, you want to win. There's no question about that, but it looked like you guys took some steps forward, did some things better, got some guys back, which we're going to talk about on and off throughout this. But, Andrew, just your assessment of your guys after a very tough game the week before, coming back, going on the road to Tascosa and facing a team that knows what to do at this time of year because they've got a lot of tradition up at Tascosa.
Yeah.
What do you think of how your team played? I
thought, man, it's one of those things you always hate to lose. But I'm telling you, after this game, it was a different feeling. We kind of knew the direction we were going in, and now we feel like we're where we're supposed to be. I thought this week was perfect for us, discipline-wise. You have to be disciplined facing this kind of offense. So we trusted each other. You got dive, you got pitch, you got quarterback. The safeties are rolling, the corners are, and everybody did their job, and it was a totally different feeling, even after a loss like that. And I told the guys after the loss, it was totally on me, and I put that one on me. It wasn't on them. Great effort from our team, and I was totally pleased with how we played.
Abe and I talked a little bit about this before you got here, so we'll go back. This was just his second game back, coming back from an injury. Knock on wood, that's the last time we have to talk about that with him. First game back with Zay Washington.
Yeah.
So you had two pretty key cogs on your defense back, but you can get guys back, and that's great. I'm sure you're not complaining about that. But then to have to prepare for Tascosa with guys still kind of getting their feet wet and getting used to being back out there, that's a little bit of a challenge because as simple as I've talked to coaches, Chip Darden's team played Tascosa early. It seems easy. You can tell guys you do A, B, and C. But there's one thing between telling them and just when you get out there and see it. It's a little bit. It's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we tell our guys is we do some of the same stuff day in and day out on that week, and it gets boring for the guys. But we have to do it, and we tell them the first series of the game is going to be tough because the speed that we've been doing in practice is not going to imitate what you're about to see.
Unless two option teams play each other, you're not going to see that.
And so we understand that going in. After that first series, they're locked in and they know, hey, there's nothing that we've seen that they're doing like we've got it. And so from that first series on, I think we were good. And that's just something that you have to deal with. And I thought our kids dealt with it very well.
Jay, Northcutt's team they go into their bye week this week. They play Midland High on the other side, and he said he's glad they got 2 weeks to get back. Because you're right. And Coach talked about it. It gets boring, but you have to have that mental discipline against that defense. After that first drive, did you kind of get that sense that guys were starting to lock in a little bit?
Oh, yes, of course. That second drive, I remember it vividly. We got a good first down stop with Zay and Zeke. And then the fourth down, I got a tackle for loss just because we had all our keys correctly and we all wanted it just the same. We were all on the same wavelength. And like the past 4 weeks, it has been completely bad. We weren't on the same week. Everyone was complaining with each other, and we talked about this week. Everyone has to be disciplined and do their jobs right if we really want to get better, and that's exactly what we did.
And getting Zay back, I know, is a huge addition back.
Of course.
And he didn't seem rusty from the stats I saw. Did I see 15 tackles?
15 tackles. I mean, starting back last week with Abe coming back, like Abe is our leader of not just the defense but our team, vocal leader, getting everybody going. Then you get Zay back this week, and so now we have two guys on the defense that are talking and communicating, and people that are stepping up vocally. We haven't had that. We've had some young guys out there and just not ready to take that step, and so having both those guys on the field, totally different. And some of our coaches didn't understand what I meant, like what they were going to see when we got both these guys back on the field at the same time, and now they understand.
I'm going to guess that Alan Gant was pretty happy to see both of you guys out there with him.
Absolutely.
Not that he was flying solo, but when he came on, he talked about how he had to take on some leadership. You mentioned that Abe's a leader, and maybe Alan is too, but you can't. I think people just say, make that kid a leader and think that happens. That's not necessarily the case.
That's tough. We put a lot with those two guys being away, Abe and Zay, we put a lot on Alan, and people don't understand that. From looking on the outside in, Alan maybe not playing as well as he did last year at this point. That's tough on him as a person, man. But we put a lot on his plate, and Alan is a great player.
You guys, I mentioned to Abe before you got here, you guys have some dudes on that side of the ball. Now you're starting to get healthy and everybody back out there. So
yes, sir.
And it's a good time of year because this week, you play those Monterey Plainsmen Friday night, 7 p.m. at Lowry Field. That'll be on 96.9 The Bull and 93.7. Let me make sure I'm clearing that right. We'll come back. I'll get the right stations out there. But that is 7 p.m. Friday at Lowry Field. We'll be back after the break to talk more Coronado Mustangs on the Mustang Fan Zone. Welcome back into the Mustang Fan Zone on 100.7 FM. I'm going to make sure I get this right now. 7 p.m. Friday at Lowry Field, Monterey at Coronado. Coronado's the home team because it's homecoming this week. That is on 96.9 The Bull and 93.7 The Eagle. But we have dueling broadcasts there. We'll have Kurt Kaiser and David Thetford and their wingmen telling stories. So whatever side you want to hear from, you'll have some options there. And I would guess that LSD TV will also have that on the YouTube channel. So plenty of ways to keep up with it. That's also going to be the game of the week on a local website. I'll sneak that out there. I haven't actually posted that yet, but I think that's kind of a no-brainer when that. You two to get together, there's always a little bit of there's some meaning to it. It's a little bit later in the season last year.
Yeah, it was. It's good to have it right now. We get to have it as homecoming for us, and it's an exciting week, man. We're ready, and I wish it was tomorrow.
Well, I bet this guy in between us probably feels that way too. I want to talk a little bit more about Tascosa though, because you guys did a lot of good things. Isaiah thrown for 322 yards. Mm-hmm. Now, I would imagine you probably would like that to balance out a little bit, but when you have a guy who can throw for 322, that's not a bad thing to have in your hip pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you think about it in Finch, which, we rely on so much. I think he had almost 100 yards at halftime. Yep. And so they start, getting in the box a little bit and starts opening up for him. And we watched film, and he understands. He missed a couple, so we left a lot of points out there, and we were frustrated. Thought we were going to go into halftime up 16-7, and we kick it to the person we didn't want to kick it to all week.
I was going to bring that up, but I'm glad you did.
The one person that in the whole stadium that we knew we were looking for, and we kicked it to him, and we just thought we lost it on our own. So nothing they did that beat us. It was all on. I put it all on me.
Kickoff returns have been a little bit of an Achilles heel, giving up. And Abe, as one of the older guys back now, and I don't know if you're on any of those units, but what do you tell? Because a lot of times special teams 5A or 6A, there's some younger guys out there who that's their moment. That's their chance to kind of make an impact. What's your advice to them in those situations?
Use the best you can out of it. Those are the plays where you can make something happen for yourself. If you give 100% effort, the coaches are going to notice that and decide to put you in on other types of plays or other drives when they need you the most. And I tell them all the time, man, put me on there. I've been waiting for it.
His response was, "Coach, put me on there."
Yeah. and came back in after halftime and got the tackle, and I was ready for it. I was hoping to get on it this week, but he said nah. So
not yet.
But it's a play. It's special teams are for special players. So those are the times you need to show out the most, so you can make the most of it, especially for those young guys or the smaller guys that don't get as much playing time. That's when you make the most happen for yourself.
And it's unfortunately you've had a couple of teachable moments to guys now that you can show on video. You can say, hey, look, we didn't lose the game because of this, but it may have changed the game had we just tackled a guy before he got the other direction.
Absolutely. We watched it Saturday, and then we totally knew 11 on special teams on kick return, kickoff return, punt return, punt team. We want guys that want to make it special to them, and so we're making it a big part of our game this week.
I told you to avert your eyes when I called this up. We'll switch gears and we're going to talk about Monterey. Mm-hmm. And they broke a losing streak to Coronado last year. Very tight, dramatic game. And they scored 2 touchdowns in the last, if I'm looking at right, the last 50 seconds. And that's tough to take any time, but against your rival in particular. And what'd you guys both tell me about how many times you've watched that game since then?
I've watched it 100 times. 57 seconds, they scored 2 touchdowns, and it's been eating at me ever since. So,
Did Coach have that gray in his beard before last year?
No.
Yeah, man, we had some conversations in the coach's office about that loss, and it really sticks to me, and we want some payback. I think our kids do as well.
Well, you don't have to get guys fired up on either side of the ball, but both buses are going to pull up full of guys ready to go.
Absolutely.
And just to reiterate, 7 p.m. Friday, Lowry Field, 6:30 p.m. pregame on both stations, 96.9 the Bull and 93.7 the Eagle. We'll be back to talk more Coronado Monterey on the Mustang Fan Zone. Welcome back to the final segment of the Mustang Fan Zone on a Monday night, Monday before Coronado's homecoming game against Monterey. We're going to leave last year alone because that was a tough loss for you guys, and it caused a ripple effect. There were some changes after that have us where we are now. Andrew, let's going into that game. Both teams, I think, before the season began, I think Dave Campbell even kind of pegged this as a pretty key game in the fight for a playoff spot, and that's certainly nothing has changed. Both teams come off a loss, but also did some good things last week to start district. How do you feel your team is mentally after you lost 4 in a row? There's no way to sugarcoat that. But as we said, you look like you made some strides. What's your guys' frame of mind going into this week?
I think we're really high. Like, from the outside looking in, I don't think anybody understands what this team has gone through, where we've been. Abe been out for 9 months, waiting, itching to get back, wanting to get in, and having to wait for these last 2 weeks. Just some other circumstances that didn't go our way, and just our team dealing with adversity, and kind of the the loss last week. It wasn't a loss; it was almost a win for us. And just understanding where we are as a team, how much we've grown, and what we have in store, and our confidence is sky high. We're ready. We're ready.
Abe, what have you seen in your teammates coming from a very tough night against Abilene Cooper to last week. What did you see in your guys that you like?
I seen a lot more effort and positivity in the team. We knew we didn't want to go through that again, and we all talked about it the next Saturday morning in film, getting ready for Tascosa, saying how much effort we really need to go into this game, especially for the first district game. Everyone wants to come in with the win, and we all want to be better because the last couple of years hasn't been good for us, and we want to change that. Especially as a senior, you want to leave a legacy behind for the other people behind you, and you just want to pick that up and leave the past behind.
I mentioned 4 losses in a row, but there's a lot of season left. You guys can still kind of chop wood and accomplish some things.
Yes, sir.
What do you feel like this team? Now you got to go one at a time. I'll go Coach speak on him because he's sitting over there. I don't want to get the stink eye from Coach Roy here, but you do have to go one game at a time.
Yes, I know, of course. Coach usually has the aux for 4 games. So this last week he let me get on the aux, and I feel like that gave us a lot more energy and got the team together better. So I want to say that first and foremost.
Wait, you're going to have to explain this aux thing.
Yeah.
So we have a speaker.
The music they listen
to. The pregame.
Okay.
So we got all riled up, ready to play this game just from the vibes and the whatever was happening in the locker room beforehand. It got us all together and ready to play the game. Coach's music taste isn't all that well, so when you have me playing the music, it gets everyone better.
I'm going to guess that Coach and I's music taste probably has some similarities, I'll defend him on that.
I try to make it theirs, but they always want something different.
I imagine with your daughters you go through that a little bit too. So, Abe, you're a kid who grew up here. You've been around Coronado. You've been around Coronado and Monterey. Why is this rivalry special? Why does this one get the juices going?
It's just 34th versus 47th. You just want to beat them. No one wants to lose to their crosstown rivals. It's just something that's been going on for years and years. Everyone's talked about it ever since you were in middle school, and you just never want to lose to somebody that you always seen as an opposition. Like even with the middle school, you have Irons, McCool, and McKenzie. Those are okay, but then you get together when you're all Rich y'all's freshman year, Evans and Atkins. You've never seen them as a teammate. You've always seen them as somebody you want to go against and beat. You never want to lose with them. So it's just history going back and forth all the time. No one wants to lose to their crosstown rivals.
Andrew, you grew up with a couple of those games on your calendar as a kid in Abilene.
Yeah.
Does this one seem similar to what you grew up around?
Absolutely, and our kids know their kids, and it's not anything bad. It's nothing hateful at all. It's totally competition, and so I sit back and I watch them and I listen to them, and they're just kids being kids, and they're competitive as all get out. Those kids over there at Monterey are competitive, and they want to whoop us, and we're competitive. We want to whoop them, and it reminds me of old days back when I was playing. So nothing wrong with it at all. Love it.
Nope, that's what high school football rivalries should be about.
That's it.
There's a rivalry in the South they call good old-fashioned hate. I think you could apply that to Coronado and Monterey, and
absolutely.
It fits well. Last time I will say it, 7 p.m. Friday, Lowry Field. That will be on 96.9 The Bull and 93.7 The Eagle. We'll be back after this with the Matador Fan Zone.